And we're off. It's hard to believe, Mike, we're into week 4 already, isn't it, of the Premier League?
Week 4, midweek games, European games will be coming up soon. We've seen the Europa draws on just now.
Yes.
And it's like it's all open again.
Yeah, maybe at the end of this video, we'll have a quick comment on the draw for the Champions League. But for now, let's go straight into, they have a Friday night game tonight. Luton at home to West Ham. Do you want to go first on that one?
Oh, why not? I will. No, I suppose we've seen it's only the first week, and for Luton and particularly in Burnley, we've only seen him play 2 games. They look like the teams that got promoted look like they will struggle this season, but it's too early to write them off entirely. So I'm giving an optimistic 1-1 draw at home, and that's more based on a fight and a hope that the heads haven't dropped this early in the season. And we'll see where they go. West Ham have been performing really well, to be fair. They're delighted where they are versus last season.
Yes.
But that team is definitely no better than what it was last year.
That's it. That's the surprising thing, isn't it?
I'm expecting them to go through a wobble very shortly.
Okay, so you're going for a draw on this one, a home draw.
1-1 draw is my prediction on this.
Okay, and also it'll be Luton's first game at Kenilworth Road this season, so that'll be a good atmosphere there. And I do think, all right, that Luton do look one of the weakest teams at the moment, but it's early days yet. Especially their defense. There's their captain there in the center looks like a duck out of water. Really, it's a big step up for them. West Ham, I've been very impressed. I mean, the 2 teams that have beaten Luton so far have been Chelsea and Brighton. And they're the 2 teams that West Ham have beaten 3-1 in both games. So, but it'll be a different game for West Ham because West Ham usually, like the last time, West Ham sit back and they like to catch teams on the break.
Yes.
But it'll be different maybe with Luton in this case. Luton probably will sit back on this one. So it'll be a different kind of game plan for them. It seems as well West Ham have been brought in that guy from Ajax, Kudus, Ghanaian guy, who has good reputation from the Dutch league. But we'll see how they go on that one. And Bowen and Antonio doing really well. I know, I was just thinking it. Remember a couple of years ago, Leicester were nearly relegated. And the following season, they went on a run that just gelled together and they went on to win the Premier League. Could West Ham be the dark horses, repeat the same situation? They have the tools, but it's a long shot. They have some tools there to work with.
They have some bits to work with. I doubt it, but simply because Guardiola wasn't there. Guardiola wasn't there when Leicester did that. City weren't quite as dominant as they are right now.
Yeah.
But they're certainly, West Ham are delighted with their start to the season. I was looking today is like the transfer deadline day. And a lot of West Ham fans are saying, you know what, we don't really need any new players. That's a sign of the fans are really happy with the way the team is playing at the moment.
Yeah.
It can change very quickly.
Yeah, and they underperformed in the league last year. I mean, the Conference League, European, they did well. So they really underperformed last year. So they should be expecting a top half finish by right, Okay. Then tomorrow's games, Mike, the first one we have Sheffield United. What's that, Mike?
No, what score are you going for?
Oh, sorry, I forgot that. I'm going to go down for a 2-1 West Ham win. 2-1 West Ham win to continue their good form.
Okay.
All right.
So while you're on, take on the early game on Saturday, another Sheffield United, Everton. I feel of a relegation battle on this one.
Yes, exactly. I tipped Sheffield United to go down. But I think it'll be close. There might be worse teams than them. They'll be happy to see McBurney is back in for selection. He's a bit of a muscle about him. He'll cause a bit of problems. He'll score a couple of goals. And they also bought a guy called Archer from Villa, who was in the England under-21, the European champions team, and he's not a bad player either. But you know, he might be one for the future. Everton, they were lucky midweek. They just beat Doncaster 2-1 in the League Cup. But what was good about that is that they had their two new guys scoring goals. Beto, who's a new guy from signed, he's a Portuguese guy, scored from Udinese. He scored. And Danjuma, another striker they bought, scored as well. So that's something that they really need, because they've been creating chances but just haven't been scoring them. So on the high from that, and because they have been scoring chances and they have some strikers in now, I fancy Everton maybe to win this one 2-1.
You're going for another 2-1 away victory. Oh,
yeah, actually, I have nearly all my games are nearly all 2-1 today.
Okay, right. Well, this one I'm going for a home victory. Yes, I think Sheffield United in Bramall Lane, I believe it is, if memory serves me right.
All right.
Just to support, I think there are two teams that will struggle for goals, quite frankly. So a set piece or a corner could easily be the decider. So there we go. I'm going to put my hat on 1-0.
Okay, so it will be interesting. We got different scores there. We're going different ways the first two, so we'll see how our league table looks.
Yes.
Next game.
Okay, well, I'll stay on. Yeah, I'll stay on now for this one. As for our fans at home, you can see we might have slight technical issues with time delays. There's a typhoon hitting here. So maybe when I'm talking, once I start, I'll take the next one and you'll take the next one. You'll be talking in the second half. Right. So we've got Brentford and Bournemouth. Brentford at home.
Oh, yes, you're right. Sorry, yes.
Against a hard-working Bournemouth team who finally Solanke is showing a bit of the form that he was that he glimpses of what he could do. He's not a great player, but he's a good hard-working forward, and he will get goals and he will be a nuisance. With that being said, I'm really impressed with the response of the Brentford team to Tony's, I won't say departure, but at this moment he's as good as gone from the layout. And I believe that the good teamwork that their excellent manager has put in will lead to a home victory. And I'm going for Brentford 2-0. So despite talking about Solanke, I think it's going to be a clean sheet for Brentford.
All right, okay. Yeah, Brentford will be happy to have. They were lucky midweek. They went to penalties against Newport and they won in the League Cup. It was and a midweek last week they had a kind of a dour draw with Palace, but it was very bad weather in that game. It was very heavy rain, so that might have affected things a little bit. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw on this one between Brentford and Bournemouth, because Bournemouth this year, the new guy, they have more shots on goal, they have more passes, they have more possession. I think it'll be maybe a low-key game. I think there won't be many chances in it. And I just feel that Bournemouth might get their... they've drawn one, lost two so far. So I think that maybe they'll get a draw on this one. It's a tough one because Brentford's a hard place to go to. But I just feel a draw on this one. I have a feeling of a draw.
Is it in your bones or it's in your water?
Yes, in my water.
Come to pass.
Yes. All right. So 1-1. I'm going to go for 1-1.
Now and tell us about.
So 1-1.
Tell us now while you're on. Burnley is home to Spurs.
Yeah. Burnley finding it tough so far. They beat Forest in the cup during the week, 1-0, a late goal. So that'll kind of give them a little bit of a boost. But I still think that maybe Spurs might have too much for them again in this one. Spurs seem to have found a new lease of life, especially going forward. They're vulnerable, obviously, in the back. I think better teams will exploit their weaknesses in the back line. But I just think that maybe Burnley may not be that one. And Burnley last year in the Championship were very exciting team going forward and so on. This year, they've seen none of that. They've been very dour, very haven't shown any of that. And it's very often it's a big step up from the Championship to the Premier
It's
League.
only 2 games.
Sure. But I just expect Spurs. I'm going to go for Spurs to
They've only
win
played
this
2
one.
games and won against Man City.
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah.
What score?
Yeah, I'm going to go for 2-1. Sorry. So far, Spurs have scored at least 2 goals in every game against Man United and against Bournemouth. So I just think there's a kind of a new optimism in Spurs. I think that will carry them over the line in this one.
Just despite their knocked out of the League Cup this week,
they lost on penalties, right? On penalties against Fulham. Yeah. So I know. I think there's some changes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's optimism. The new manager's coming in. He's putting his stamp. They don't know how to solve the problem that is Richarlison. Watching the game last weekend, he's their Havertz. He's the Mason Mount.
Yeah.
The guy that's just a square peg in a round hole, and you're going, we know he's better than this, but we can't get it out of him.
Yeah. He did score. He did score midweek. Yeah.
He did in the game they lost there that they didn't really care about. I do suspect he could easily be dropped in this game. And like you, I have predicted a 1-2 victory for Spurs.
Okay. So we're seeing the same.
This we're both on the same page.
Okay.
My least favorite team in transfer windows, in the last 2 transfer windows, Chelsea, are at home to Forest. And I'll just go very quickly and say why another reason for disliking them is getting Cole Palmer, which I think is actually their great signing. And I'm disappointed Man City sold them to someone like Chelsea. And I'm disappointed for Cole Palmer to go into the merry-go-round when he could have joined a fine team like Liverpool or Arsenal, where he'd be far more integrated into the squad and get far more opportunities to play and show and develop his talents. That being said, they're at home against Nottingham Forest, who did give United a mighty fright, but this still is Forest away from home. And I'm going for a Chelsea 3-1 victory. Sterling, I think, is showing a bit of form. He seems a bit more settled. In the last game, I know he scored 2, and that's only 1 game. But he was also prominent in other games in the first game as well. And just from what I'm reading, he seems happier within himself.
Yeah, maybe with Pochettino.
3-1.
Okay. Yeah, I actually agree, Mike. I have down the same scoreline, 3-1 to Chelsea as well on this one. They laboured to a 2-1 win against Wimbledon during the week, but lots of changes in their team. Positives from that, Madueke, who was another England under-21 player, one for the future. He was the one who pushed them forward in the game. And when Fernandes came on, you could see the difference in the class, When he came on the game, the way he controlled the game, and scored 1, I think, and could have scored another one as well. It was like boys against men when he was on. So really kind of saw his class in that one. As you said, Sterling has found form this season. I think Pochettino is kind of getting a tune out of him. And then that's good. That's good for Chelsea players. And I think Chelsea, the more they play together, now they're still kind of like trying to find each other. I think as the season go on, I think they'll get better. I think they'll be exciting to watch this year. It does seem as though that they have this policy of buying all the best young players around. It must be a case of like that they'll loan them out and that they're like an investment, that they'll loan them out, their value will go up, and then they'll sell them on for a profit or something, or bring the best ones back into the first team. Because they're buying so many players and a huge squad, it must be like a financial sort of plan,
Yeah, they did sell a lot of their youth players, which costs them nothing.
Yeah.
So it's all profit.
Yeah.
But the long-term project, it's just that obviously the ones that don't work out, it could hurt. It's going to hurt them in 2 years' time or 3 years' time.
That's the thing.
Maybe,
if there's any dud,
have they that many great? Like, will they keep having a great youth system going through to like so many players coming in now in different positions? Where will they give a chance for a youth player to shine enough
Yeah.
Like Mason Mount shined enough that they got a lot of money for him, and that's all. And I understand how that financial fair play works.
Yeah.
But they're putting all of Mason Mount in for year one, where they're spreading the cost of all these players over 7-10 years.
Mm-hmm.
They won't have a Mason Mount every year to sell.
Yeah, exactly. And there'll be a few
because
duds in that
they're
as
not
well.
they're not giving you a chance.
Yeah, there'll be a few duds in there as well too. Will be, and then they'll be on contracts for 7 years. If like Bogard again, Winston, that guy Bogard many years ago, who was on a huge salary and they couldn't get rid of him. You know. Anyway, Forest, we're unlucky. You know. Yeah, it could be great. It could work out perfectly for them, or it could drive them into debt in years to come. Who knows? It's a big risk anyway, you know. But we'll see how it goes. Forest, Forest were. Yeah, Forest couldn't hold on last week against United, unfortunately. United came back. Awani scored again. He's had 7 games in a row now as well, so he's on form. But again, Forest's away record is, we all know, is abysmal. Like no win in the last 12 away. Mm-hmm. And but they have scored in the last 6 away, which is a good thing for them. But they've held on to Brennan Johnson, I think. Chelsea were trying to get him as well too. Another guy Chelsea were after. And they've signed Nuno Tavares. Well, that's true. Yeah, anything could happen yet. That's right. And they've brought in Nuno Tavares from Arsenal, who's great going forward, but terrible going back. He's actually very like Aurier, the other guy they have already. Aurier is the same kind of player as him. So I think it'll be an exciting game, yeah, but I fancy Chelsea to win, like I said, 3-1 on this one.
Okay, your favorite team, City. How do you think they'll get on?
Yeah, what did I say? Okay, yeah, this is the weekend definitely where Man City are going to like fall apart. I think, you know, it must happen. I've been looking for this one. Yeah, this is the weekend. I think Fulham are going to get them on this one. It's going to happen. Even though they brought in some panic buying in these kind of bit part players, you know, probably who are Nunez from Wolves and a guy from Rennes in France. So, but no, seriously, I think City at home will do what Arsenal should have done last week and be professional and get the job done instead of Mickey Mousing around and making a mess of the whole thing in the first minute. So City will show how it's done. I'm expecting them to win 2-0 on this one.
Yeah.
One guy to mention for Fulham is Palhinha. He was amazing. He was amazing against Arsenal. And, you know, I think Fulham will be very lucky to hold on to him before the end of the window because he was amazing for them. And if they lose him, he'll be a big loss to them in the centre of the field there. So, yeah, I'm going to go for 2-0 to Man City on this one, 2-0.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I do think City may have made a mistake in selling Cole Palmer. It's nice to see players come through the ranks as well. I think for die-hard fans, they wouldn't like to see that, just buying, you know, these players and leaving a homegrown talent, shipping them off.
Yeah.
That being said, I have 4-0 down, since I think it's going to be a comfortable day in the office for City. They'll show the professionalism, as you say, that Arsenal should have shown.
Yeah.
So moving on to a much more harder one to call, because two teams that have kind of had surprise defeats in my book. Two tough games last week, but both of them came on the wrong. Both of them are coming in from defeats. They'll want to reignite their league. Brighton and Newcastle. I'll kick it off. I'm going to say, because they both need it, I'll sit in the fence and say that they'll both take a 1-1 draw, just not to lose. You know, based on Newcastle's solid defence and Brighton having more of the ball and creating more chances. But they're not the finished article. They haven't decided whether is Ferguson their main guy starting, or is Welbeck the guy, and they think Ferguson's better coming on as an impact substitute.
Yeah.
So they're not quite there yet. Mitoma played brilliantly, but he is still, I hate to say, a bit lightweight. So they're, you know, Newcastle have big defenders.
Yeah.
Trippier will be on him, and he's wild. He'll know how to deal with Mitoma. So 1-1 I'm going for. I don't think it's going to be the great game that we'd be hoping for.
Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting one, definitely as well. All right, I think. Yeah, Brighton stunned by West Ham last time with the 3-1. Brighton had 79% possession against the Hammers, but they got those sucker blows on the break
Yeah.
from West Ham. Newcastle will be stunned completely after knowing how did they lose the game against Liverpool in the last game, 2-1 against 10 men. I think that will affect them in this game. I think going
Yeah.
away, it might take a game or two of them for to kind of re-establish confidence because they've lost a little bit of confidence recently. They're out of sync. Um,
Last City, last City, and last happened.
yeah, Brighton there's always goals in Brighton games. Both teams have scored in 10 out of the last 11 games. Brighton have scored in 42 out of their last 43 games. So I expect goals in this one. Very exciting as well to hear that Fati from Barcelona has joined them for the season. I mean, if he gets going, I mean,
Has he?
I believe so. Yeah, I mean that's I believe
Okay.
so. I was
I knew it was a rumor.
yeah, I think so. I mean, I
That
have
would
to check that out again. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But I just think the
that
momentum is
would be
with
great.
Brighton. I think that they're doing really well. I think maybe they at home as well. I'm going to go for Brighton to win 2-1.
2-1. Okay. Well, while you're on, you may as well go with our Crystal Palace at home to Wolves.
Yeah.
The team I predicted to go down against the team you predicted to go down.
Yeah, that's right. I expect a kind of a door enough whole game on this one. Palace, I don't know. I think there'll be a hard watch this season, even with the players they've up front. It'll be a kind of a grinding out of things, you know. And they'll do it when they want to. You know, they're like they'll win a few games, they'll lose a few games. Mid-table, solid mid-table team this year. Wolves will be very happy that they scored 5 goals in the League Cup, and they had what was it scored? Their striker from last year, Klazic, big tall guy. He scored, an Austrian guy, and Silva, the Portuguese guy, scored as well. So I think it's really important for them to get those guys scoring because you know the teams who go down are always ones who just don't have a striker or suffer up front. So
how do you think, like losing Nunes on the last day to see, the transfer window?
I think
Surely
it won't affect them
going to
a little bit, but
plans too.
I think it happened all so quickly that maybe it won't have time really to kind of disturb them. Like the rumor came out, he went on strike, he was gone. That was it, you know? So I think that maybe it happened so quickly it won't disturb them too much. He'll be a loss to them, but Mateta scored as well for Crystal Palace, 3 goals. And so it'll be good for them as well because they lack a striker as well. I think it'll be a very cagey game on this one. Teams won't want to lose. I think they'll settle for a point. I'm going to go for 1-1 home draw.
Okay. I'm with you on most of those things. I think it's cagey. Dour is the word you used. I completely agree. I've used that a lot with Crystal Palace in particular this season. But I am going for a Palace victory because I think that, with the midfielder just going out, Nunes losing him, and the other guy went off to Saudi Arabia earlier. There's a weakness there in that Wolves midfield.
Yeah.
That from what they had last season, that kept them up and made them a solid enough outfit. So from that, I'm going for a Palace victory.
Okay,
right.
Okay.
Another big game that's hard to call. There was a lot of these are easy to call in a way. But Liverpool at home to Aston Villa, I think, is a very hard game to call. I've sat on the fence on it because you've got a Liverpool who definitely have won their last 2 games while down to 10 men. So they're showing a battling side that's admirable. We know that they've forwards not only on the field but on the bench that can score goals. If Salah does go, not for this weekend, but over the next week before the Saudi window closes. However, their defense is the problem. And all the talk of who they're signing doesn't deal with the problems in defense. Now you have Van Dijk rightly getting an extension on his ban for all his back talking to referees and fourth officials. I think he's getting an extra ban for a few more matches, and rightly so. If you want to knock out that back talk, you have to start implementing these penalties.
Yeah, and be consistent. Yeah.
So I cannot see him keeping a clean sheet. I'm going for
Looks like the typhoon has kicked in. Mike is frozen.
No problem. Yeah, maybe it is. Anyway, 2-2, if you can hear.
Yeah, it says our internet connection is unstable, but I got the score, so 2-2. Do you think Salah will go, and will you be upset if he does?
I think because of because it being so close to, as I say, last minute, 13th hour, can't get anyone in. It will disrupt. I would not be happy to see him go for that reason. If he wanted to go, he should have gone with Fabinho, and I would have no problem losing him if you had 100 million. And I think that's what they're talking about, over 100 million.
Yeah.
For Salah.
Yeah, but you get the money, then who are you going to spend it on at this late stage? You see.
Well, we can't. I mean, like literally, it's not gonna. He could go next week. Liverpool have how many hours before the English transfer window closes?
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't want him to go, but I wouldn't be surprised, and I think it'll tarnish his legacy if he does go in this manner.
And the fact is, like, well, how old is he? 31, 32?
Exactly. It's great money. It's great money for a 30-something-year-old that has not been performing that well in the last 2 years.
But Klopp doesn't care about that. He just wants to have a good players on the field now for this season, right? That's what he's concerned about.
Absolutely.
So I think this year, will be an up and down season for Liverpool. I think there'll be good days and there'll be bad days. I think it's going to be inconsistent for Liverpool.
Yeah.
They've won the last two despite conceding the first goal in each game. As you said, their defense is very, very fragile. I expect Villa to take advantage of that in this one, because Villa have hit that form. I expect Villa to do really well this season, and I think if that's going to be true, then they're going to have to go to places like Anfield and win. Matty Cash scored a few goals. Diaby is doing really well up front. Watkins is back again. They just seem to have a good all-round shape, and Liverpool don't have that at the moment. So I'm going to go for 3-2, an exciting 3-2 win for Villa.
We're going for a great game. Okay. And the last one, while you're on, your pick. Another what used to be the big game of the season: Arsenal versus United.
Yeah. Just want to say how disappointed I was with Arsenal, like how unprofessional they were and how immature they were against Fulham. Yeah, that's not the first time this has happened, that they've conceded in the first minute. It happened last season against Southampton when they drew 2-2. It happened against Bournemouth when they came back to win 3-2, and it happened again. Just giving away a goal in the first 30 seconds of an easy home game. So there's something wrong there, definitely, and they need to fix that fast. But I think just maybe they're catching Man United at the right time. United have lots of problems. Mount is out. Varane is going to be out now as well. We spoke about Casemiro getting old, Eriksen getting old. So I'm just hoping that Arsenal will hopefully have enough. And maybe Man United playing against them might suit them. Have to be careful on the break against Man United, but I'm expecting Arsenal maybe to win this one 2-1. They'll have Gabriel might be back. Tomiyasu is coming back. They have to fix the Havertz problem because, like you said, he's a square peg in a round hole at the moment. Bring on Smith Rowe is what I say. He's a good player. He scores goals. Out of patience with Havertz, but maybe he needs to give another few games. He needs to give him a try, right? But it's going to cost Arsenal.
Training. Yeah, give him training. Let him just get to know the Arsenal ways. Smith Rowe knows the Arsenal way.
Yeah.
And as you say, he's not a bad player.
No.
Get him in. Now you see there's too much attention on Havertz. The pressure is there.
Yeah.
Let him in the reserves and in train and just get more and more familiar with the players and what they're doing in the front and their ways of attacking, especially Martinelli and Saka. He really needs to build a relationship. I've the same score as you for the same reasons. United just have individuals, but are not playing as a team at the moment, which is a little bit surprising, but there we go. you know, as you say, a year takes it happened to Liverpool last season where suddenly Fabinho and Henderson, all their legs went at the same time. And it's happening this year with United.
Yeah.
So with that, your defense looks more vulnerable and more chances are created. Shaw as well as showing a big loss.
He's out as well. Yeah, he's a loss. He'll be out as well.
You know, with all being said and done, that he had a lot of experience and composure for that defense. And then you have a new keeper who's still on really proven in the Premiership. You know, Onana talks a lot, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, 2-1 is my score. I think that's the end of the Chinese vote.
Thank you for the Chinese
Guys,
jury.
we'll probably go over time. Yeah.
No worries, no worries.
We made it through the storm.
We have a lot to say, you know, but it's important stuff has to be said. You know, our viewers would be disappointed if we didn't get all that in. So quality, not quantity. Quality, not quantity. That's our motto. All right.
When you get both here, you get quantity of us talking and quality.
And who's our sponsor for today? Who's our sponsor that you're advertising?
It's not drinking a thing, Bao. You're not drinking a good beer.
Send me over a few bottles. All right. Listen, let the folks go. Enjoy the football, and we'll see you all next week. Take care.
Enjoy the football, guys. Bye-bye.